I mean, again, Coach, Cam Ward's on the Titans. He hasn't been good. I hope you're happy now.
Let's mention.
That's
a
quarter of the league has been eliminated. 3 more teams facing elimination this week. You have the Atlanta Falcons against the Carolina Panthers, the Arizona Cardinals against the Niners, and the Dallas Cowboys. And a pretty sad Monday Night Football game against the Raiders. Those 3 teams facing elimination. The next tier, don't reveal it yet, it could have been called the Sam Darnold vindication tier. Instead, it's called probably need a quarterback. And it's the Vikings and the Panthers. 2 teams that had Sam Darnold. And again, it is way too early for J.J. McCarthy. I know it's year 2, but he's barely played any football. So you want to give him time.
Not Dylan Gabriel.
Well, he's played half.
They can trade for Shedeur.
He's played considerably less than Dylan Gabriel, and he's also not 5'7". But regardless, I'd be I'd be nervous if I were Minnesota, and I wouldn't even be nervous if I were Carolina. I would just know that it's probably time. 07 Pats, if combined. The Bengals offense and the Texans defense, oh my. And that's with Joe Burrow or Joe Flacco. Don't really care. You're getting the same production. The Texans, got a great keep your season alive win this week. Down 19 going into the 4th quarter. Storm all the way back with a backup quarterback to stabilize themselves. And the Bengals got kind of the opposite the last 2 weeks, where now that they know Burrow is coming back, they have to be feeling like, my God, if we could have just held on, not lost to the Jets or not lost in the final minute to the Bears, we'd be right there. The offense is great, defense not so much. This one makes me sad. Half of it does. Awaiting the collapse. Guys, the Prince might need a fresh start. He just might. And the Steelers, we talked all year about how they had to get off to an awesome start, Brou, because the final 5-6 games of their season were so tough. They got off to a good start, but they squandered it as of late. And now it feels, right now, both of these teams, this is a division champ and a playoff team, right as we sit here today. But of all the teams currently in the playoffs that we think aren't going to make the playoffs, in either conference, those are probably the 2 most likely. It makes me sad. Battle for the 7th seed. This is literal. I don't think the Packers are going to full-on fall out. So you have Philly, you have Tampa, you have Seattle, you have the Rams, you have Detroit, you have Green Bay. That's 6 teams. One of these 2 teams, unless the Panthers get red hot or the Vikings, I don't think it's going to happen, are going to be the 7th seed. They have a matchup against each other later in the season. You are going to see either Brock Purdy, Mac Jones, somebody in the playoffs, and the Niners maybe all of a sudden being dangerous if they're getting more healthy, or you're going to see in the first year of Ben Johnson, Caleb in the playoffs. But one of those 2 teams is going to be the 7th seed. This is a page right out of Brou's book. Cute teams. Listen, these are cute, good teams. They are, and they both have potent offenses when things are humming. The Colts have an all-time running game at the moment. Questions about the defense that Ahmad Gardner has not fixed. I feel like maybe he's lost the Sauce nickname until he starts playing like Sauce again. I'm just telling you. I mean, I don't know. I saw him get cooked.
Got burned.
I saw him get burned. I saw him drop a pick. Listen, there's nothing wrong with calling him Ahmad. And I understand the Chargers have an offensive line no one can win behind except for when they do win, and then they're a real contender. I'm a little confused on the Chargers stuff, and Daniel Popper's tweet and his little sassy response didn't help me on that. But they're good. They're cute teams, and they should both be in the playoffs. Obviously, the Colts are going to win the division, and the Chargers should hold on for at least the 7th seed in the AFC. Brou, I don't know if you're going to like this one either. Uncomfortable quarterback questions. The Broncos and the Packers. Love the teams. Love the defenses. People historically have loved the coaches. They don't have great, but they don't have terrible weapons. They don't have one team, the Broncos, has a great offensive line. The Packers' offensive line's now banged up, but it hasn't been a problem. So why aren't the offenses more consistent? It raises some uncomfortable quarterback questions about a guy who the head coach compared to Drew Brees and a guy who the team gave $50 million to. Speaking of categories Brou might not like. Brou's biases cuts in both directions. The Bucs and the Ravens. The Ravens at 4-5. Oh my. Just one of the most dominating, devastating teams in the league. A true contender, despite the fact that, once they get to the playoffs, they've never played their best. The Bucs, on the other hand, who have a quarterback who always plays awesome in the playoffs and have won the division for as many more years in a row than Baltimore has and has 6 wins, they're a cute little team. They're not even eligible for must win because their games somehow don't matter. Scary but vulnerable, Bills-Lions. The Bills are vulnerable because they just haven't been the Bills this year. Mm-hmm. Aside from beating the Chiefs in the regular season, there has not been a lot about the Bills this season that remind you of the best Bills teams we've seen, and they are the ultimate SBOB team. The Lions are vulnerable only in that I found the Dan Campbell taking over play calling thing curious. I don't think it's not nothing. And I don't think anyone prior to that was like, man, this Lions offense just broken. I think that people thought they had a bad game against Minnesota, so it seems like internally maybe they were more concerned than we were externally. It's a little just scary but vulnerable. I can't believe I'm doing this. Just show it.
That's where we are.
What does it say, KW?
I can't read that far.
Doorstep of Destiny.
Excellent. Excellent.
We are staring down the pike at a Pats Chiefs AFC Championship game in New England.
That would be devastating.
I'm just telling you, that is what we're staring down.
That we would be in a no-lose.
Well, you say that, but once you get there, you're not going to feel that way.
You won't feel that way. I've never felt that way when the Ravens lost.
Yeah.
Well, I'm in year 2 of Drake May.
Yeah, but you're in.
It's year 1 of Ravens.
You're in year 6 of the dynasty gap year.
I wonder what it's like to lose an AFC championship.
Wow, coach. Polar opposite vibes. Rams and Eagles. Both 7-2.
Yep.
Both should be flying high. The Rams, everything's wonderful. The Eagles, I think AJ Brown just went on MySpace and posted an emo song with Jalen Hurts' picture. And so, both awesome teams with polar opposite vibes. And atop the tiers, for the first time in franchise history, not even the Steve Largent teams were atop the tiers. A quiet juggernaut.
Wow.
The Seattle Seahawks.
Wow.
Right now,
Number 1.
the best team in football.
Wow.
Coach?
Great team.
You guys remember what I said about the Seattle Seahawks before the season started? You guys remember what I said about Sam Darnold and Clint Kubiak and that McDonald defense? You guys remember what I said about Jackson Smith and Jigba? Yeah, I remember. Just had to stretch it out a little bit. These are interesting tiers. It's a lot of pairs of 2s. It's actually kind of interesting. Let's just say it looks like a rocket ship going to the moon. The Seahawks are going to the moon. Yeah. Where to begin? Listen. I'm not about to put the Bucks. People are going to be so mad. I don't see how the Bucks are above the Colts right now. I just don't see it. I don't see how the Broncos are above the Chargers right now. Really, right now, actually, I'd put the Broncos, the Packers, and the Chargers all in the same tier. I'd move the Colts up, and the Ravens for that matter, and I'd move the Bucks down. Because I'd put those teams in this box of like, we really have the potential to be great. Can our O-line hold up? Like the fact that Nick keeps talking about the Chargers O-line like it means nothing is so insane, considering all he did was talk about the offensive line for the Kansas City Chiefs. Like it just still continues to be the most insane take ever. It really it makes no sense. And the Denver Broncos right now, I feel like he has the Broncos ahead of the Chargers right now only because the Chiefs are playing the Broncos. I really do feel that way. He did the same thing with the Jags when the Chiefs were playing the Jags on on Parkins, whatever his top 10 list is, or however the heck it's listed. Danny's Dimes, or I don't know what it is. And so I think that's why you're seeing the Broncos elevated right now. But I think it would be fair to kind of put those teams on this level because they all have the potential to play so much better than themselves. And the Ravens are there mainly because we just like don't know what they are in this moment of time because of how injured they were, then Lamar not playing. So it's like, to me, it's still kind of a bit of an exploration right now as to like, who are the Baltimore Ravens this year in 2025? I think the Bills and the Lions actually combined together makes a lot of sense. But I think you can honestly probably put the Chiefs there as well and just say, listen, these are three teams that we know have shown us in the past and have the ability to really be great. Like they have the ability, they've shown levels of dominance in isolation in ways that can make anyone feel overwhelmed. As I always reference, I always like to look at it through a lens of like, I have to play that team. I'm a Bears. I'm on the Bears. I'm on the Ravens. You know, I'm someone else looking in, and it's just like going up against the Chiefs, going up against the Lions, going up against the Bills should give you a healthy dose of angst of just like, oh gosh, I don't know. You know, at any moment that Lions offense can roll. I mean, the Kansas City Chiefs are the Kansas City Chiefs. Josh Allen is Josh Allen, and now all three of those teams have not shown the same level of dominance, or I don't want to say invincibility, that's too strong of a word, resilience that we've seen in years past. And so, you know, it makes sense why you would be, you know, they feel a little bit more vulnerable. And then that's where it's kind of interesting with the Patriots, Eagles, Rams, and Seahawks. And you could technically throw the Colts in there, but I think it makes sense to be a little bit more squeamish of what you've seen out of that Colts offense and Daniel Jones recently. Like it's starting to crack. I'm not saying it is, or that I'm like, oh, see, I'm off Daniel Jones and the Colts, but like I can understand why you would have some reservations. And to be fair, you could say that about the Eagles as well, but you still know they still have that ability. Like you're not questioning will Jalen Hurts not be able to handle the play? Will Jalen Hurts not be able to handle the moment? Is he regressing back to turning into a pumpkin, right? Like that is not the narrative around Jalen Hurts. The narrative is, can they get this offense going better though? Can they get AJ Brown going? And it's a fair question. But they answered that question last year. There was concerns about that, and then in the biggest moments, in the biggest games, AJ, Devontae, etc., were all playing out of their minds. NFC Championship game, Super Bowl. And also in a gotta have it moment against the Los Angeles Rams, AJ went off. So like there is a precedent there for that. And again, the Rams and the Seahawks are playing great. The only question specifically about the Seahawks is like, is this for real? Is this for real? And I think the Rams and the Seahawks both have had a lighter schedule, and I've talked about that for both teams. You know, someone called me out like that in the comment section. This is how you know I read the comments and how I speak to them and allow them to influence my thinking, because I said, oh, you know, who have the Rams beat? They're playing a bunch of bad teams. Stafford's been able to feast on that, et cetera, et cetera. And someone's like, well, you're really high on Sam Darnold and the Seahawks. You can say the exact same thing. And I was like, actually, yeah, there's a lot of truth to that statement. And that's why it's such a big game against the two of them now going against each other. That's why that game is going to tell me a ton. I'm fascinated to see how that game unfolds. And again, to be clear, I think both teams are great. I think both teams are awesome. I think both coaching staffs and quarterbacks are playing out of their mind. And so that's why it's like, well, let's see what it looks like when you guys play each other. I saw what the Rams looked like against the Eagles, right? That is a reference point. And that was a bizarre game, though. And it was early on in the season. A lot of things, both teams were figuring stuff out at that point as well. And at that point, it's like that game doesn't even matter. It's too long ago. Doesn't matter, honestly, from my viewpoint. So I'm excited to see this. I'm really, really excited to see that. But I mean, I think the tiers in general, it's not the worst. Because I mean, like, how are you supposed to figure out what's going on with the Jags, the Steelers, the Bengals, and the Texans? It's like, I don't know. You're not going to make the argument that the Bears should be above the Packers right now. Like, that defense is legit. I think losing Kraft is pretty devastating to that Packers offense, and so, yeah, I don't know. It's just it is always interesting, because this year, this is why I guess I continue to be thrown off by the mountain and the tiers. That last year, I guess because of how the Chiefs were playing, Nick really emphasized the past and the future. Obviously, with the Chiefs, it was, they went back to back. Who's doubting them in the playoffs, et cetera, et cetera. And there was just such an emphasis on that more than anything else. Whereas I do believe that Nick still thinks that the Kansas City Chiefs are the best team in the NFL. And he believes that they're better than the Patriots. But he is being fair, at least right now in this moment of time, and not putting them at the top. And so that's why, like, when I'm commenting on this, I'm thinking to myself, is he talking about strictly how, like, this season then? Like, is he actually just putting more of an emphasis on how you're playing right now? Because I also believe that he thinks that the Kansas City Chiefs are better than the Philadelphia Eagles. If we were saying, hey, the Chiefs are playing the Eagles in the Super Bowl, who you got? There's no chance. And not even from a fan perspective, because we obviously know he's a KC fan, but I think he also believes fundamentally that the Kansas City Chiefs are just a better team than the Philadelphia Eagles. So that's why when I see something like this, I'm like, how is he viewing, how is he coming to this conclusion? How is he coming to this, to this list, to this rankings? And if I don't know, then it just becomes harder to kind of comment specifically on it. And I think if there is an emphasis, a greater emphasis on just what we're seeing right now, how these teams have actually been playing and not what we believe they will be able to do over these next few weeks or so, then I think the rankings themselves, make a lot of sense. I think they're fair. Although I'd argue that you would put the Patriots above the Chiefs. I would put them above because I do think that the Patriots have been playing more complete games than, say, the Kansas City Chiefs. But at the same time, like, I don't have any issues of them being side to side there. And I know you want to be able to have the doorstep of destiny thing, but I mean, yeah, all in all, it is what it is. With the top, because I'm also looking at it though with the Rams and the Seahawks. Like, I don't think he thinks that the Seahawks are better than the Rams. If the Seahawks were playing, which they are obviously, but like in the playoffs, I'm like, he's going to pick the Rams. So yeah, I don't know. It's interesting. Some of it I feel is also a setup. Thinking, hey, I think maybe the Rams are going to beat the Seahawks, and then if they do, he gets to say, see, Stafford just took down the best team in the NFL. Like, that's where I'm always thinking how he's thinking. So we got some important games this weekend that are going to tell us a ton. That's for sure. Lions, Eagles, Broncos, Chiefs, Bills, Bucks, Rams, Seahawks. I mean, those are just the definition of barometer clarity games. So every video that I've made this week, I just keep thinking about those games that they're coming. I'm just like, oh, we're so close. But those are just my thoughts. I'd absolutely love to hear yours. What do you guys all think about Nick's tiers? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. I read every single comment. So whether you agree with me or disagree with me, either way, let's get in some discussions. Let's get in some fights. But ultimately, let's just have some fun. And please do consider subscribing. We are building an amazing community here, and I absolutely love to see you part of it. I want to build something that we all generally feel connected to. Something that we're really excited to be part of. I think we're well on our way to doing it. Please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up. It really does help the visibility and the algorithm. Thank you so much. See you next time.